Our next step is to solve rational equations. A rational equation is an equation in which each term contains a rational expression, which begs the question, what's a rational expression? The definition of a rational expression is anything that can be written as a fraction of integers, but in the case of algebra, we kind of expand that out to any fraction that involves variables, particularly in the denominator. And so when we start looking at variables in the denominator, we're looking at, well, we're dividing by a variable and we can't divide by 0. So we always have to ask ourselves, what is going to make that variable equal to 0? What values of x will make the denominator equal 0? What values of x will make the denominator equal 0? So on this first one, question number 8, we're looking at 9 over 4 minus 1 over 2x equals 4 over x. So the question becomes, what values of x would make the denominator equal 0? What values of x will make 2x equal 0 or will make x equal 0? And in both of those cases, it's the same number. In both cases, 0 makes x equal, or makes that denominator be 0. So the restricted value for x is going to be 0. That means x can't be 0. Now, for our purposes, we're just going to identify that restricted value, because when I get to my final answer, as long as the solution I find is not 0, then I found the solution to my equation. But if my solution that I find happens to be on my restricted values list, then the answer actually would become no solution, because I can't have a value of x that would make the denominator equal 0. Okay? So the first step in solving rational equations is going to be find the restricted values. After that, we're going to do exactly what we did in the previous video where we were working with fractions. We're going to multiply by the least common denominator, or the least common multiple. Now, since we're involving variables, we've got to consider those variables as part of that. So here, my denominators are 4, 2x, and x. That means my least common multiple, or least common denominator, is 4x, because what I want to happen is when I multiply, I need to eliminate the denominator. So I need the multiple that's involving the numbers and the variables, so that when I multiply, the denominators are eliminated. So let me show you what I'm talking about on this first one. So I have 4x, and I'm going to multiply that by everything here. Everything gets multiplied by 4x. So 4x times, change my color here, 9 over 4 minus 4x, change it to blue, this times 1 over 2x equals 4x times 4 over x. Now look what happens. When I multiply 4x times 9 over 4, my 4's are going to cancel out, leaving me with no denominator, and that's going to leave me with 9x as the term. In the second one, when I do 4x times 1 over 2x, 2 goes into 4, leaving me with a 2, but the x's divide out completely. They divide to 1. So that leaves me with 2 times 1 are 2. Equals, here the x's cancel completely out, leaving me with 4 times 4, which is 16. Notice that I'm left with a very simple equation here to solve. It's 2 steps. I'm going to add 2. 9x equals 18. Divide by 9. X equals 2. 2 is not on my restricted values list, so 2 is my solution. So let's do that again. X plus 6 over x plus 3 minus 2 equals 3 over x plus 3. Now, notice these denominators are the same. They're x plus 3. So what I'm going to, my LCD here would definitely be x plus 3, because it's the only thing in the denominator. But what is my restricted value? Well, my restricted value is what makes x plus 3 equals 0. What x makes x plus 3 equals 0? Well, that's negative 3. So negative 3, x can't be negative 3, so that's my restricted value. But my LCD is x plus 3, so I'm going to multiply x plus 3 times my first fraction, x plus 6 over x plus 3, minus, and I'm going to multiply x plus 3 times 2, and then I'm going to multiply x plus 3 times, let me move my work over a little bit so I can get to that part, times 3 over x plus 3. Okay, now, again, here, x plus 3 cancels out. Here, x plus 3 cancels out. So I'm left with x plus 6 minus 2 times x plus 3 equals 3. Now I can distribute, so x plus 6 minus 2x minus 6 equals 3. Combine like terms, that leaves me with negative x plus 6 minus 6 cancels out, equals 3. Divide by negative 1, and I get x equals negative 3. The problem is, notice, negative 3 is my restricted value. So the solution I came out with is my restricted value. Therefore, I would have to say this was no solution. We call this extraneous. This x equals negative 3 is extraneous because it is not a solution to the original equation. It does not work. All right, let's do one more of these examples. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to factor the denominators, okay? So y minus 1, that is a factor. Y plus 3, that is a factor. The factor of y squared minus 2y, or plus 2y minus 3 is y plus 3, y minus 1, because we need something that multiplies to negative 3 and adds to positive 2. So that's positive 3 and negative 1. Now, that leaves me with my LCD actually being y plus 3, y minus 1, because that involves everything in the denominator. It accounts for my y minus 1 here, both of them on that middle fraction, and then the y plus 3 in the right. So that makes my restricted values negative 3 and positive 1, because that is what makes y plus 3 and y minus 1 equal to 0. Now my next step is going to be to multiply this whole equation by my LCD. Now, we could write this out, but I'm going to save a little bit of time and a little bit of writing and think about if I multiply this first fraction, 1 over y minus 1, times the LCD, the y minus 1 is going to cancel out, resulting in me multiplying 1 times y plus 3. So that's just going to give me y plus 3. Plus, in the second one, y minus 3, y plus 3, y minus 1, actually both of these are going to divide out, leaving me with y plus 1 that's already in the numerator. And then lastly, 1 over y plus 3 times the LCD, the y plus 3 is what's canceling or dividing, leaving me with 1 times the y minus 1, which gives me equals y minus 1. Now I can combine like terms. 2y plus 4 equals y minus 1. I'm going to choose to move my variables to the left, which makes me move my constants to the right. That gives me minus y and minus 4, which is going to give me y equals negative 5. Now, is negative 5 on my restricted value list? And the answer is no, so my solution is negative 5.